Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Shivering Mouse. I'm so excited to have you with me again today. Today we're going to talk about Disney's top 10 self-aware Disney jokes. And I know that I probably missed a few of them since this has been a more and more popular thing for Disney to do in their movies, especially lately. But, I think it'd be fun for you to point some out to me that I've missed. But I've put my 10 favorites on this list. Number 10 is kind of subtle. It's from the cartoon Sofia the First, and while I'm not super familiar with the Playhouse Disney children's show dynamic, I do love this one because it features one of my favorite Disney characters of all time, and that's Merida. We curly girls have to stick together, and she's kind of the queen of the curly girls. The reason why I think this one is so subtle and so hilarious is because Sofia has the ability to call back previous Disney princesses and ask them for advice. One of those princesses she chooses is Merida, who shows up, gives her advice, and upon which Sofia immediately kind of bursts into song. Merida kind of is taken aback by this. She actually jumps back and is a little startled by it because her movie, Brave, is not technically a musical. I think Eleanor sings a kind of a lullaby to baby Merida at one point in the movie, and other than that, all of the music and lyrics that take place are background music. They're not the actual characters bursting into song. So to Merida, when Sofia does this, it's kind of a startling thing. It's not something she's used to happening in her world, which is quite different from most of the other Disney princesses. And so to me, I kind of thought that this was a pretty hilarious kind of nod to the fact that Disney is known for their characters just bursting into song out of nowhere, and I thought it was funny that they kind of just added it as a little kind of joke for the grown-ups that the kids may not get when they're watching this on Playhouse Disney, just because it's really, literally just kind of a look, like, what is this kid doing? And so it's funny to me that they even bothered to include it. Number 9 I put is actually from a Disney attraction, and it's from Soarin'. This is from Patrick Warburton as he's giving the safety spiel at the beginning of the attraction, where he talks about putting all of your items in the underfoot basket container to make sure your items aren't lost or broken during the actual attraction itself, and he includes these little babies in his big deep voice, and takes Mickey Mouse ears right off the head of a tourist, and it's really funny because the beanie part of the mouse ears perfectly cover a perfect mouse shape sized bald spot on the back of his head, and I think it's hilarious. It's really self-referential, and again, this is something that the adults are kind of going to wink and nod and chuckle at, while the kids are just hearing a safety spiel and wanting to get on the attraction. So to me, that one's kind of funny, and of course the fact that it's delivered in his deep voice kind of makes it all the more hilarious. Something about him, man, he's so funny without even really needing to be anything but deadpan, but he's so funny. Anyway, number 8, Muppet Treasure Island. What? Nikki, that's from the 90s. That's, yeah, the 90s. Oops, almost said 80s. I'm from the 80s. It's from the 90s. That's from the 90s. You're not gonna, go back that far and think that all of these jokes are the same, but they are, because there is a self-referential joke in Muppet Treasure Island when they're talking about how instead of a parrot, Long John Silver has a lobster on his shoulder in Muppet Treasure Island, and when Jim Hawkins comments on, oh, I thought it'd be a parrot, the lobster says, a parrot talking, what's next? A walking, talking mouse with his own amusement park? That one is a much less subtle Disney nod to itself, because it's pretty straightforwardly making fun of themselves there. Number 7, Moana. This is one that, since it's more modern and, again, more obvious, everybody's pretty familiar with. This is where, Maui says to Moana, you have a dress and an animal sidekick, you're a princess. And she goes on to continue to dispute this. Now, I'm not sure if she's disputing it because she thinks she's actually not a princess. I think if Pocahontas, the daughter of a chief, gets to be counted as a princess, then Moana technically should fall into the same rules because she is also the daughter of a chief. I think she mostly disputes it just because Maui annoys her, and I think we've all, especially us feisty girls, have been in that position where when somebody really obnoxious is arguing with us, we're going to argue back even if we know we're wrong. We're just going to dig our heels in more because person's annoying, so you kind of just want to frustrate them. And unfortunately, Maui is not frustrated by this because he knows he's right, and it has other things to do. But it's just funny to me that they deliberately kind of define the princess terms. You have wear a dress and you have an animal sidekick. I think that's hilarious. Number 6, Enchanted. If you've ever seen Enchanted, you know that it's just one giant self-aware Disney joke. Literally the whole movie. It's hilarious and very pointedly one giant Disney joke. And so I don't even have like one specific moment to tear apart for Enchanted to put it on this list. It's literally just the whole movie. Number 5, Frozen. And the best joke for me that fits into this category for Frozen, and I'm sorry, my bangs are doing their own thing, so I'm just kind of pulling them out of the way. Really the thing for Frozen that I think was the most self-referential joke was, of course, Kristoff going, "You got engaged to someone you just met," and then I love that they double down and bring it back later when Anna's trying to be the leader in this situation, even though she's lived in the palace her whole life and Kristoff has actually lived in the mountains. And Kristoff says, "No, I don't trust your judgment. You got engaged to someone you just met." And so I love that they double down on this. And, the fact that Elsa points out that you can't marry someone you just met. It really throws a wrench into the whole Disney trope of girls getting engaged to and marrying someone they met just a few minutes ago, with the exception of Belle, who knew the Beast for what looks like at least a year, because you see several seasons go by. The rest of the princesses meet, or in Ariel's case, simply look at somebody before they decide they want to marry them. And so I think the fact that Disney kind of pokes a rod at this trope that they themselves created is kind of hilarious. I love that they're making fun of these stereotypes, that they're the ones that were they were the architects of these, and they still want to make fun of it. It's hilarious to me. Number 4, Tangled. This is one that doesn't get as much credit, I think, on the, Disney self-aware jokes that you see lately, and I really, really love it. And it's the moment where Eugene is kind of sword fighting with Maximus the horse, and he's using a frying pan, and I think Maximus has a sword, and they're swashbuckling, and Eugene goes ahead and says, "This is the strangest thing I've ever done." And I kind of love that they actually commented on that, because Disney has all of these anthropomorphic animals doing crazy things with humans because they're so human-like, and this is the first time, at least that I can recall, that they've actually commented on it in real time. That, hey, this is a super weird thing that we're doing here. Isn't it strange when, in Snow White, the fact that the animals are sweeping and mopping and doing dishes, it's not commented on how weird that is. It's, just seen as, oh, look at these animals like Snow White and they want to help her. Whereas really, Eugene goes ahead and points out, no, this is a weird thing that we're doing, guys. And I love that they went ahead and commented on it, because finally somebody commented on it. It's not Aurora dancing with a bunch of animals wearing Prince Philip's coat like it's actually a normal thing to do. Eugene's the one who is kind of the voice of the audience in the show that says, no, this is weird, guys, but I'm just gonna roll with it because it's a survival situation. We'll see what goes. So I kind of love that one. That's why it's so high on my list, but it's one that I haven't seen mentioned a lot, so I wanted to go ahead and put it out there. Number 3, Wreck-It Ralph 2. This one, we knew it was coming before it even showed up, but the whole big princesses scene, especially when they're talking about singing their I Want song, and you go up to special water and think about what you want and your dream, and you sing a song, and then Vanellope goes ahead and does it, which I don't know, it cracks me up because she's not on the official Disney princess roster lineup, but she is technically a princess who is a Disney character, so I do wonder if this is because she does technically then fulfill the I Want song qualifications in that movie, if they're going to add her to the princess roster, but it's been quite a long time, and they haven't done that, so, I doubt it. At this point she's already got it out on a sequel, and they still haven't added her to the lineup, so I doubt they're going to do it, but I just think it's funny that they give out their qualifications for how a princess finds her way. You go to some special body of water and sing a song. I don't know, it's adorable, it's hilarious, and then I love that the princesses kind of save everything at the end, and the princesses, again, call out Disney on the tropes that Disney created itself, and that to me is hilarious. I don't know why. It just is. It's like, it's self-aware, but at the same time, it's kind of not, because you're the reason people have this stereotype. I don't know. It's funny to me. Number 2, John Ratzenberger is everywhere. And that's, going from Toy Story to all of the other Disney Pixar movies. We've seen all along the way that John Ratzenberger has had at least one small bit part in all of these Disney Pixar movies. But then in one in particular, they're all in the movie theater, and he comments on, hey, they're just using the same actor over and over again. I love that they used him to say that, to point out that he's been in every single one of them. That, to me, is an excellent self-aware Disney joke, when they make fun of themselves making fun of themselves. I adore it, because before, you heard John Ratzenberger in all of these movies, you kind of listened to the side characters and see if you could find him. Okay, where's John Ratzenberger going to be in this movie? And then to have him himself comment on it, I thought it was hysterical. I laughed. I think I spilled my popcorn. It was fantastic. I loved it. Number 1, this is my favorite, and it's probably the first, or one of the first. Let's say one of the first, because I don't remember whether this came before Muppet Treasure Island or not. I'm thinking not. I think this came after, but it is definitely one of the first self-referential Disney jokes I've ever heard, and it was from the Extremely Goofy movie. That's a sequel to a Goofy movie, both of which are great movies. I highly recommend them. But Max's friend Bobby is sitting in a cafe, and he goes, you ever notice how we're always wearing gloves? And then he pulls up his glove to see if his hand is in there and stuff. And this is happening in the background of the main events of the scene. It's just kind of Bobby talking to them, and they're not listening to him. So you, as the audience member, usually dismiss what he's saying too, because it's just him in his own little world. He's not a particularly smart character. He's usually not super important to the main plot in any role other than just Max's kind of dumb friend. And so the fact that he's in the background trying to figure out what's going on with why they're always wearing gloves, I thought was kind of hilarious. And again, Disney pointing out something that they started early in their animation days with Mickey Mouse himself. They noticed that when they gave him a full hand of 5 fingers, that his hand looked like a bunch of bananas, so they eliminated one finger from the Mickey Mouse animations. And then because fingers were so hard to draw frame after frame after frame after frame, and this is back when everybody was hand animated, they went ahead and just put on gloves, because apparently they were easier to animate than tons of different realistic looking hands. Because of course with gloves you can draw a bent hand as just a curve, as opposed to having to draw every individual joint. So it made the animation process a lot faster, a lot more streamlined, a lot more easily transferred from one animator to another. But that kind of trope of always wearing gloves has continued to this day, and I kind of love that Disney called themselves out on it. So I want to know now, what ones did I miss? What are your favorites? What self-aware Disney jokes do we need to add to this list? Because I remember I saw one just the other day and forgot what it was, and I thought, oh, I've got to add that to my list. That's an awesome self-aware Disney joke, and forgot it as soon as the movie was over. So I don't have that one for you. Forgot all about it. And yeah, so I'm kind of bummed that I forgot that one. So if you want to contact me about your favorite Disney self-aware joke, you can either put it in the comments section, or you can contact me at shiveringmouse@gmail.com, www.patreon.com/shiveringmouse if you want to support me, or just comment on the video. We do have a free podcast every Friday. Yeah, every Friday, where you can listen to me talk about the Disney parks. Basically, we're doing kind of a walking tour through all 4 Disney parks, followed by the resorts. So if you want kind of a audio tour of Disney, tune in on Fridays. Wednesdays, we do a literary breakdown of different stories and how they ended up becoming Disney movies, and what stories Disney used for their inspiration and what the original story is. So if you're into, fairy tales and classic stories and that kind of thing, you can tune in on Wednesday by supporting us for at least $1 a month. You can check out my blog at shiveringmouse.wordpress.com. Sorry, I always mix that up with the Patreon one. And so those are the different ways to comment or to contact me. You can, of course, always click the comment section and let me know your favorite self-aware Disney joke. I look forward to hearing from you next week, unless you tune in on Friday, and then we'll talk to each other then. Thank you so much for watching.